Good to be back at last. Also, I don't know who will be. OBS definitely doesn't know who it's messing with here. Full moons are when I'm strongest. Anyway, for those that were in the other one before, sorry about that. There was some major scuff that happened. But for those just joining in, greetings everyone, one and all at last. Glad to have returned. I am Menos. Welcome to my Madhouse. And with the reopening of my Madhouse now, because I had to take a break because so much was happening during August. But I'll just be chatting about how it went. Mainly because both of them were... One of the stories, especially with the Lipoma arc, is extremely long. But beforehand, let's go back to the usual room again. No, not that usual room, don't worry. Yeah, back to my usual one. Oh, don't worry. Don't worry, this outfit isn't new. Those that were in the channel on the channel earlier know of this outfit. This is my fall semester outfit. It's the fall now. There is a bit of news regarding any more new outfits, but I'll leave you that here. I'll leave you to that right here. That's not exactly ready yet. Now let me actually deal with my usual outfit. There we go. Much better. Much better. Now, everyone, how's it going? Is my audio okay? Is the background too loud or too soft? Is anything else okay? Apparently according to YouTube, the stream's still giving me lip. It is somehow still giving me lip. Nope, this is the time to be angry. My mic's in a far better position now. I had to put it at a better position. And Draco Scorpio, unfortunately, I hadn't seen that video yet. I'll have to check that one out later. But my main task at hand is telling you everything that happened mid-break. But I'm gonna have to start with my move and how it went for the other domain. And according to the rules, right after me ending up moving to the other domain, in the other domain with other people or myself, I'm unable to come back to Madhouse domain for a while. Not just because of the setup, but because the setup over here, over at the other domain, but because it's set up over here. Both domains do work in tandem, but they're extremely weird. And speaking of extremely weird, this is actually the second take, as I've said earlier. So yeah, all the promo areas, I'm unfortunately gonna have to go back to them. And repost the VOD. It seriously sucks, but oh well. Once again, OBS was seriously screwing with me here. Doesn't realize I'm strongest at full moons. Pretty strong in general, but at full moons I am strongest. Anyway. Unfortunately for the other story, I did not chronicle or write this down, so it's gonna have to be from my heart here. I've done my best to fix my stammer. In fact, that's all I've been doing ever since I even came to in the main asylum. But here goes. Basically Legacy at the previous place wasn't even doing with us there, and that basically means they're trying our best to get rid of me and the others. So the opportunity came, and thankfully we decided to get a new apartment. So we had to move out there. The toughest part of the move is actually moving all our stuff from the other location to the new location. That's mainly because we had a ton of crap. Especially my folks, we had a ton of crap. The worst of it was a pet tank. No, they don't own a fish, they own a lizard. Normally there's two other people that can handle it, that can handle the worst stuff, but that was even worse. That required 3 people. That required 3 or 4 people. Because it was such a heavy tank. We definitely couldn't remove the stuff. It definitely couldn't remove everything from it. Yeah, we moved the pets to proper cages, but still, that was extremely rough. It was the roughest of that bunch, getting out and going back in. Fault that were the beds and the TV stands and a lot of other stuff. Even worse is the fragile ones, especially this PC. I had to take care of this thing first. Thankfully it made it alive, obviously. Or my hiatus would have been extremely far longer than any one of you could imagine. Thankfully got through that. Also, apparently one of the new owners, no, not one of the new owners, sorry. One of the new landlords didn't take a liking to everyone that visited the office. I did not set foot in the new office at all. But unfortunately, I didn't take a liking to them. So they actually tried their best to screw with them, but that ended up messing with them on their own part. They're on their final warning, I think. Other than that, absolutely everything else was smooth sailing. Although here's a twist. For preparing both this event and the movie in general, I basically still had not finished unpacking. But also, in it, well, at last, everyone's already having a better life back there. And connecting back to Madhouse, I mean, wasn't too rough, thankfully. So that's pretty much it for this moving arc. Now this is during yet another arc that was ongoing. But I'm gonna have to spill the full story and all details, including the new stuff. All the rest of the story was in past sanity checks. And I'm gonna have to just explain the new stuff in the future sanity check. But for the purposes of this update video, I gotta explain the story in full. I don't know what the hell is it with summer and extremely scary arcs. I know some cultures have that tied in alongside Halloween. And that's normally fun, but a lot of times with me it ain't. Ain't at all. And I thankfully chronicled this in full. Some can have to bring that up. Apparently, forgive me for any buffering, YouTube is still being nasty. And I'm on low latency, not normal latency. Absolutely every one of my skippage problems led to normal latency instead of low latency. It was just how this thing is built, unfortunately. It went down to that. Seriously, let me know if you're still experiencing that. I had to refresh. I had to start streaming, even refresh. It should be working extremely well now. Give me a moment, I'm actually refreshing now. As I get the chronicle. We're back. Good thing we're back. And don't worry, this is also recording. So if all else fails, at least I still have that. But now I have it. But now I finally have the chronicle of the entire Lipoma surgery arc. Or Lipoma surgery arc. I still can't tell it all with the correct pronunciation. But I'll look that one up later. But I'll go by that one up later. But I'll go by the pronunciation that uses it more. that's used more, which is lipoma. Also, anyone in chat, please correct me here. Please correct me here when you can. All right, here goes. This is the, as explained, this is the entirety of my lipoma surgery arc. So apparently for at least over a year, from high cholesterol from a diet used to have alongside my family, as in everything that I was eating, they were too. Everything except for a few select Asian sweets. There were none of those unlike me. So from all this, I ended up developing a lipoma on the back of my head, and for the whole time until this June, I thought it was a vein of all things. I seriously thought it was a vein on my head of all things, but those don't work. The skull does not work like that. One day after shaving my head, the lipoma had grown, and my folks first noticed. They thought it was something bad, and I panicked, so we had it checked. After checking out myself, I opted to go get it checked in the emergency room. Arriving there after a triage and examination from a doctor, they decided it was a lipoma, and it was thankfully 100% benign, non-cancerous. Thank God it wasn't, or the news would have been devastating enough for me to graduate from streaming here. It was yeah, shit was that close. I had insurance, thankfully, but there was only one hospital that would take the full examination. But they don't have the best dental department. I don't go for those there. I'd rather pay. Was worried about the other departments thanks to the dentist rumors, but we decided to go anyway. Later in July, I had it examined. I got examined and had a general checkup. And just to note the other domain, this domain has more. This domain definitely has monsters, but there are far more humans here than over there. And yes, that definitely did lag up again. Good thing this is still recording. I'll put in a notice that I will just drop the recording in case anything goes in case the lag goes super wrong. Here we go. This goes triple why I don't stream on Saturday at all. And a full moon happens to fall here, right here. No, not the time to be happy. It's a time to be angry. But going back to the hospital. In July, I got examined and had a general checkup. just to note, there are way more monsters in the other domain than shockingly right here on Madhouse domain. Both have humans, both have other eclectic monsters, and more eclectic monsters were in the hospital, definitely. That hospital apparently attracted not only subhumans, but certain types of dragons and other ghouls. Mostly night terrors like myself. But I have another more monstrous form in the other domain. So there's that. There's a subhuman that took my stats. They took my rate properly, but they had to get someone else because they BS'd my height at first. It was too clear. So after the other person, which was also a subhuman, had to correctly earn my height because she was shocked that I was over 6 foot in the other domain as well. Also opted for an extensive blood test because of an earlier strawberry hepatitis scare when everyone in the family ate strawberries in our fruit salad during that period. There are plenty of other fellow night terrors as well. But all I've seen was mainly a bunch of subhumans, a dragon or two, and a gecko that helped with the lab work. After getting results a bit later, it turns out I and the others are hepatitis negative for all types. Another close call already. Wait for a next appointment and thought was about the surgery at hand. Which was why I did have a bunch of nurses earlier in this channel. But turns out it was the evaluation before consenting to the surgery. The doctor this time around, the usual hour-long wait, was oddly another frost dragon. He looked very cool too. We were talking about why we were there, and the doctor said that me and my family was also a step closer to being pre-diabetic, so whatever diet I had that we had to stop now. Yes, once again, almost everything I was eating my family was too, so not only that me, but everyone had to cut down. Yeah, I'd take out every other day when we couldn't even think of what to eat, and we were guzzling soda. Especially cook whenever we could for a while. That was the main culprit. The soda was the main culprit of all this. Just looking back. So we obviously had to cut down. We had to cut a lot out too. Second closest call this arc since Lipoma itself. After conceding that, I was gonna go get the Lipoma surgically removed since it was interfering with me coming here anyway for the other domain. And it doesn't affect this appearance here. As I've seen. Yeah, I did get scared at first whenever this phenomenon first happened. But not everything that happens to the other domain would stick to here. Mainly extreme things. Yeah, sorry, I already read that part. I had this chronicled. After thanking the doctor for the warning, me and my dad drove off, and from there, I placed salsa wire and removed most of all snacks from the kitchen since we were all over those two. We were all over those like a disgusting cheating spouse and an affair partner. That's how bad it was there. I have to note right here. This wasn't my first attempt quitting soda. Excuse me. I ended up relapsing that time because of my folks accidentally gave me soda when I asked for something else, and I gave in. Basically relapsed the entire thing until the net scare. Quite a bad habit. For the latest point for we at home far more, and whenever I did decide to go out to eat, I basically either ordered on only the main dish or refused to order a drink altogether, besides water. I basically wasn't ordering the meals anymore. That strategy also helped me save money from there. All while we had a long wait until we get the pre-evaluation for my surgery. And that is all the old stuff from past sanity checks. From this point forward, everything is brand new. Now, excuse me while I take a drink. This would. I don't know how this got murder on my throat for some reason. Sorry. I'm back. That was nasty. Had to rehydrate there. That was so nasty. Anyway, from this point forward, we are in brand new territory. We just went through everything that happened that was chronicled in past sanity checks. Ever since the initiation of this nasty arc. So next month, I visited the surgery department for a pre-evaluation before my Lipoma surgery. Me and my dad checked in first, and a demon this time checked my weight. Not much else. From what I and everyone was doing, from my perspective, I dropped a whopping 7 pounds since the last visit, and going on a diet and cutting soda and sugar in general. Then after several hours of waiting, and I mean several, I was sent to a triage room with the subhuman as a nurse. I was honestly worried despite my parents not liking that. Well, a lot of the creatures of that particular era ended up giving another species for a goblin slayer to hate. He needed a new anime in that case. We're dealing with creatures that scary. It's a natural response to subhumans that are in an AV character role for them. You'd think demons would be AV character for that too. But turns out they end up working well for hospitals. It's very scary. So the current monster at hand took the triage and gave me a pack of instructions and sits wash rag to set to prepare before surgery day after checking everything. Another hour-long wait goes when we run into a bigger, fatter, uglier sub-human for the questionnaire section of my evaluation. And I haven't checked my heartbeat and pulses were a bad time. She actually said, "Don't worry, I get that a lot." At least it was honest. But even feeling the tip of that thing's fingernail made me sink in some sanitizer application earlier without either it or my dad looking. Touched in front of my neck for a separate pulse to end it. I almost gave up the ghost there. That was bad. Almost gave up that ghost. That was the end. I thought it was the end of that, and I can prepare after a brooding shower, but unfortunately, it's not all. I needed to take a corona test before it would go down on the next few days. A quick side note, I may be skirting my rules, but nobody in my family trusts the shot, not at all. Thankfully, that wasn't the case, or I'd still have it today. I'd still have my lipoma today. After the torture was mostly over, in the other room, I ended up having to take a corona swab test in the next room, with a hobgoblin preparing the swabs under some machine that stored the sanitized swabs. They wouldn't let my dad see me since it was just me and him, so I was just there waiting for them, trying to cover up the functions of how the swab tests were operating. When it was finally time to take the test, the hobgoblin prepared the swab test and said it would last 10 seconds. Turned out to be 10 exact seconds of that swab being shoved right up my right nostril like she was draining a clogged bathroom sink. It was painful. Very painful. After the 10th second, she let go and so much mucus had to be spat out of me, it felt weird. There are extremely strange follicles, extremely great chances are I'd spat them all out and have it after having used the bathroom. It was that bad. This was honestly the worst part of the day besides... This is honestly the worst part of the area besides the surgery itself. I met with Dad and immediately told him what happened, and we went back home afterwards. After what appeared to be my roughest hospital visit in my life. Besides a bad incident involving one of my other folks having pneumonia. She thankfully survived that, but that was still rough. Despite all the crimes she committed to get her and the others locked up in the asylum's domain. Ugh. I don't know. Strong as at the full moon, yet my throat still thinks it needs my foot still needs more moisture for some reason. Ugh. Give it a bit later. Seriously, give it a bit later, throat. On the day before the surgery, I had to use all sets of wipes as instructed later on. The back of my head, the neck, then the neck and chest, then my arms, my armpits, and my hips, both legs and feet, including between the toes like always. My back and finally my buttocks. I can't wipe my privates at all, nor my face. It's that strict. This is all as instructed. Then I had to fuel up, basically stuffing myself with food and water, especially burrito from Quetzalcoatl's until midnight struck, when I can't eat or drink from there. I had to get up super early in the morning as well. The big day finally arrived. Me and my dad went straight to the hospital for a check-in, but not without forgetting to get my mask in a rush. Thankfully, the car had a spare or two inside, despite that one being far heavier to breathe in. I'm honestly and naturally nervous about the ordeal, despite being a low-risk patient here. Since the lipoma at hand, it's not only a cyst, but it's basically a lump of fat. We arrive and I receive a flawless span alongside my patient band, but I didn't catch on until later. The nurse is another just as ugly subhuman, but didn't have a hostile air as the previous one. It was actually pretty nice. Alongside it, along with the team that I've seen at hand, was a salamander, the same dragon from weeks ago, another frost dragon, and a hawk. My triage was checked once more when I had to change into only a green gown and yellow indoor socks for the procedure. Nothing else. Seriously, nothing else. That curtain covered me as I undressed, but it was not a proud moment at all. Because on the other side of the curtain was my dad and the crab people, especially the subhuman and possible mosquitoes. Makes things far, far worse. I got into bed and the IV gets inserted in 2 tries. One on my hand and the other on my arm, when the hand part was a failure due to my nerves. Naturally so. The IV also contained the anesthesia that was going to knock me out later. I made sure Dad at least got the news of what will go alongside myself, meaning they'll have to flip me on another bed face down, strap me on an oxygen mask for me to breathe, and operate on me from there, which was why the full span was on me. Time comes that I get rolled in the operation room where my lipoma will be removed at last. But before I make it into the room, I end up being rocked to sleep. I end up being rocked to sleep, being in a rolling bed, moving to the operation room. Yeah, it's not exactly funny, but looking back, being rocked to sleep in that way, well, I admit that was pretty pleasant. That ended up being pretty pleasant. But just for that moment, nothing else. Here's what's confirmed to be my dad's side of this tale, since I was out during that entire ordeal. On my dad's side of this part of the tale, he waited for over an hour in the waiting room, and one of the doctors filled him in on everything that went on. Turns out, he even said I happen to have very good skull shape, the best structure for an operation like right now, and when the time arrived, he summons him back to the previous room. Why wake up after the operation was finished? And, oh yeah. OBS is being grumpy with me. I don't know. Going back. When the time arrived, he summons him back to the previous room where I wake up after the operation was finished. I had exactly no idea how much time had passed at all. But when I did wake up, the doctors noted me that the surgery was a complete success. And I stitched and stapled the incision shut, and the IV entries are both bandaged. The entirety of my lipoma that was on my head is completely gone. That's right, it is completely gone. No trace of it. With that, I gladly and carefully went home with my dad and slept for most of the day because some of the anesthetic was still in my system. As a side effect, my throat, not currently, of course. My throat is extremely sore from using the oxygen mask on top of using the regular mask from the rush right before waking up. I was unable to eat anything that wasn't a crushed banana. And and one 6 hours at a time Tylenol pill for most of the day. I was given chicken sandwich during some tenders to eat later because absolutely no one saw that coming. 2 weeks have passed. 2 weeks have passed at this point. Note that surgery day and this day was right after my move. So 2 weeks later, taking all the pills during that. Me and Dad go to the hospital one last time to get my staples removed once and for all. Since having to get used to them during that time, much like I heard from most body modification communities. Yeah, it's a very weird but very interesting. The last doctor of this tale is another ice dragon. And he tweezed them out and bandaged my head afterwards from finally healing up. Turns out the stitches were indeed the dissolving type that they used. After we thanked the doctor and went on for pumpkin-themed coffees from the hospital's Wakasaki Himes. We had another scary summer arc on a wholesome note. And a small note about the coffees itself. Up until there, I did not have any sugar drinks ever again. Until there. And I'm still gonna cool it to this day. That is everything. I'm honestly glad I went through this, because that lipoma hand, everyone saw me at the other domain. It was way more suspect than my entire appearance here. Mostly the other domain at hand are otherworldly beings. Now I'm the same one here. Even though I look far more human here. Much to my strange shock. Anyway, while that entire arc was indeed a bad time, I'm glad I went through this. Once again, I don't know what it is with this summer and extremely scary arcs. This one took the cake. That's up there with me and my family's homeless arc from another summer. But of course, that story time is going to be for another day. So that's it. Yes, that's everything. My move, the major parts, my move, and the entire lipoma surgery arc. Yeah, I'm gonna touch this on the net sanity check, but it's just gonna be the new stuff, a Cliff Notes version and the new stuff. I had to give you the entire story time right here. Otherwise, it just wouldn't feel right. Just like the last recording attempt didn't feel right at all. You know what else didn't feel right? Me still forgetting the auto updater. Or for my OBS. That is why this has been lagging. And if anyone notices any hiccups, I'll just drop the recording there. And upload it. So yeah, that's all. Everything else has been smooth sailing since. Except for preparing for this entire stream. I think the updates alongside my OBS at hand. It also apparently forgets who you are. Clearly did not know who the hell I am. I am the strongest at full moons. I love streaming at full moons too. But at the same time, I'm normally super busy on Saturdays. So I had to make the time here far ahead. That was still all the way nasty. But that's it with everything. Other than that, obviously, is any anime and manga I've been watching, my usual hangouts, and gathering stuff for the next sanity check. To tell you the truth, I already had it ahead of time. But thankfully, the next sanity check is still a bit further away. Mainly next Sunday. As of this recording. Because the next event, I'm just gonna be playing a game. Which game? I'll be playing Hollow Cure's latest update. Hey, that's finally out. And hopefully it doesn't become as laggy as right here. Cause having to upload such long streams would be quite the pain, even though YouTube can handle it. Other outlets, on the other hand, a few of those can handle it, but unfortunately, none of those are able. It's that bad of news. During the time, I did finally find the character sheets of my other files. I also found some other things that'll help me, especially that future chat update. But unfortunately, as I saw, it's apparently not even ready yet. I have the thing ticked on. I have the entire damn thing ticked on. And apparently, unfortunately, that's still not showing up. It's very sad, ain't it? I'm gonna have to work on that. Thankfully, I had my normal chest to spare. And speaking of my thanks, thank you guys for having to go through this spiel with me. That's all I have for tonight as well, unfortunately. But still, I'm extremely glad to see you guys again. I mean it. Now, tomorrow night I'll be once again I'll be playing the Hollow Cures update. And I have some more stuff for next week. So then, many thanks for everything. Please leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe in case you want to see more. If you want to further support me, there are tip jars in the description and in my link tree. And please ring getting notification bells if you can, because YouTube subbots alone is just as polarizing. It's just as polarizing as OBS trying to buffer right here. Seriously, it's that messed up. On that note, I'll see you guys next time. Be seeing ya. But seriously, obviously I have a lot of fixing to do here. Thankfully, recordings still work. I have a few shorts in my coffers. Seriously, see you guys later.